Hey Fright fans, Scott from Fright Props here, and today we're going to be taking a look at our Mega Scream Box. The Mega Scream Box is a 100 watt self-contained speaker that also has a built-in MP3 player and a built-in trigger terminal. Let's take a look at the side panel first here. You'll see we have an SD card slot here, and we can play sounds off of an SD card using that. There's a USB slot here that we can use to load sounds into internal memory. The unit does come with 4 sounds loaded to the internal memory, and we'll preview those in a moment. And then we have some buttons here for different controls. There's a track selector here with A and B, and then the C and L are for volume up and volume down. And these also allow us to change some of the modes of the player, which we'll also show you. On the back of the unit here is our trigger connection, and this will allow you to connect any of our triggers to it. So you can connect a motion sensor, beam sensor, step mat. Today we're going to be using a hand trigger, but any of our triggers will work to actually activate this unit. All right, so let's go ahead and power it up. The unit includes the appropriate power supply. This is a 24 volt power supply. Go ahead and plug the power into the back of the unit. And you will hear that it played a sound right when it powered up. The volume is now turned down, so it wasn't super loud. So we can go ahead and turn the volume up, and we can start previewing those internal sounds. So I'm just going to use the volume plus button here to turn up the volume. The sound will play after each press, letting you hear how loud it is. All right, and that's probably loud enough for demonstration purposes. Again, these are 100 watt speakers, so they can get super loud, which is great for a haunted house environment. So you heard one of the built-in sounds there already, which is that sort of shrieking scream. Let's go ahead and preview the other sounds. The first one is a clown laugh. Then there's a monster roar. Third sound will be that scream. And the last sound will be a zombie scream. So those are the sounds that come preloaded into the unit, but you can easily add your own. The best way to do that is via an SD card. I find that it's the most reliable and produces the best quality of sound. So let's jump over to the PC real quick, and I'll show you how to load a sound onto your SD card for this unit. All right, so we're over here on the PC, and I'm just going to show you how you can load a audio track onto the SD card for the Mega Scream Box. It's a pretty simple process, but there is one little catch that you have to pay attention to. So here's my audio file. This is the first track off of our sound effect collection, The Big Scream. We can go ahead and preview that now. So if I wanted to use this track on our Mega Scream Box, I would just take it and I'm going to drag it onto the SD card. I have the SD card inserted into the SD card reader of the PC here. I'm just going to take the file, drag it over, and copy it onto the SD card. I'm just putting it right in the root of the SD card. It's not inside a folder or anything. Now, the one thing you have to look at is the name of your file. There's a 5-character maximum name on the files that the Mega Scream Box will read. So this file would actually not work because it has more than 5 characters. So instead of having it named 01 space track space 01.mp3, I'm just going to click here, right click. I'm just going to go down to rename, and I'm just going to rename it 1.mp3. And now that should work just fine in the Mega Scream Box. If you wanted to add more sounds, you would just drop them into this same SD card, right into the root of the SD card, not in any folders or anything like that, and then you would use the buttons on the Mega Scream Box to choose whether you're playing all the sounds in a loop or just one of the sounds each time the unit is triggered. Now we can just go ahead and eject the SD card here, and we can bring it over back to the Mega Scream Box, put it in, and we will now be playing our new sound file. All right, so once you've ejected your SD card, you can bring it over here to the Scream Box and just put it into the SD card slot right here. And you'll hear that our sound played right away. If your sound isn't playing, you might just need to power down the Mega Scream Box and power it back up. Now, let's go ahead and attach a trigger to the unit. So we'll turn it around here to see the trigger input on the back. We're going to be using one of our hand triggers today. The end of the hand trigger has 2 wires, just like this. This doesn't require any voltage to trigger, so there's only 2 wires, and basically when these connect together, it's going to trigger the input of the speaker here. The manual will have all the different wiring diagrams for all the different types of triggers that we offer. With a simple trigger like this, that's just 2 wires. You basically just wire into the in plus and the 12 plus. These are spring-loaded connectors here, so you just press down, insert your let go. And then you'll hear, of course, the sound played when you kind of made that connection. Now when we hit the button, we'll hear our sound. Turn the speaker around and show that. The sound will continue to play as long as you hold the button down, but there's a break between repetitions. So this is a great setup for something like an actor in a haunted house that needs to save their voice. You can put screams or other horrifying sound effects onto this and then just have them either hit a button. We also sell like a foot switch that you could step on. So this is a great way to have somebody jump out and activate a scare sound without having to hurt their voice. All right, let's go ahead and turn the unit here, and we'll remove our SD card so we can go back to the preloaded sounds that are on the internal memory. And we're going to set the mode of the player. There are basically two modes for this. One that will cycle through all the different sounds that are loaded either onto the SD card or the internal memory. And the other that will basically lock it to only play one sound. So in order to set it to what we call play all mode, we're going to hold down the A button here for 3 seconds. And now, whenever we trigger the unit, it should play the next sound in sequence. And it'll just keep stepping through the sounds like that. If we wanted it to always play that scream sound, we would then use the B button here, hold that down for 3 seconds. And now we'll be locked to just playing that one sound anytime it's triggered. All right, so that is a quick overview of our Mega Screambox unit, the self-contained powered speaker with an MP3 player and a trigger input. If you have any questions, of course, you can always leave a comment on this video or send us an email at sales@frightprops.com. Thanks a lot. See you next time.